Hi, I'm Mila. All my life I've been told that hard work pays off, but scrubbing toilets at Reed Enterprises at 11 p.m. wasn't exactly the American dream I had in mind. Back in my hometown of Pine Creek, population 2,743, my folks taught me honest work was the only path forward. Now I'm sending half my paycheck home so my little sister Amber can afford her asthma medication. You missed a spot over there. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Nobody was supposed to be on the executive floor this late. When I turned around, there he was, Alexander Reed himself, leaning against the doorframe in a suit that probably cost more than my yearly salary. I'm sorry, sir. I'll get it right away. No need to apologize. I'm just impressed anyone's working this late besides me. He walked closer, and I couldn't help noticing how his eyes crinkled when he smiled. Not at all like the cold shark I'd seen in company photos. Mila, right? Your badge. Yes, sir. Stop with the sir. Makes me feel ancient. I'm Alexander. 2 days later, fresh flowers appeared on my cleaning cart with a note asking me to dinner. I almost said no. People like him don't date people like me without an agenda. But Carol, my supervisor, practically pushed me out the door. Girl, when a billionaire asks you to dinner, you go. That first night at Le Ciel, I was so nervous I knocked over my water glass. Instead of being embarrassed, Alexander laughed and tipped over his own. Now we're even. Tell me about yourself, Mila. So I did. About my parents' struggling farm, about Amber's medical bills, about my dreams of someday going to college. He listened like everything I said mattered. You're different, he said. Everyone in my world wants something from me. You're just real. The whirlwind romance that followed seemed impossible. Helicopter rides to the coast for lunch, shopping sprees where he insisted I pick whatever I wanted, late-night conversations where he confessed how lonely success could be. When he proposed after just 6 weeks, Jenny, my roommate, thought I was crazy. You barely know him. Men like that don't just fall for cleaning staff without an angle. But I was already too far gone, dizzy with love and possibilities. You'll never have to worry about money again, Alexander promised. Your family will be taken care of. I just want you by my side. Our wedding was small, but elegant. I wore a dress that cost more than my parents' house, and Alexander looked at me like I was the most precious thing he'd ever seen. My parents seemed dazed. Amber was ecstatic, and I felt like Cinderella after the clock struck midnight and nothing turned back to pumpkins. Ready to start our life together, Mrs. Reed? Alexander whispered as we danced. Looking up into his confident smile, how could I possibly say anything but yes? That night, falling asleep in the penthouse that was now my home, I truly believed my fairy tale had come true. The honeymoon bubble burst faster than I expected. 3 weeks after the wedding, I was sitting in Alexander's office waiting to surprise him with lunch when I overheard him in the hallway. The shareholders are thrilled with the marriage. Your approval ratings are up 22% since you married the janitor girl. That was Victoria, his executive assistant. I'd never met her, but I recognized her voice from phone calls. Exactly as predicted. Nothing says man of the people like marrying the help. The board is finally backing my acquisition plan. I froze, the takeout bag clutched in my hand. Though you could have found someone a bit more polished, Victoria continued. She's pretty enough, but completely out of her depth. That's the point. She's grateful, malleable, and the public loves her backstory. The rags to riches narrative practically writes itself. Their voices faded as they walked toward the elevator. I sat there, feeling like someone had punched me in the stomach. That night at dinner, I watched Alexander differently, noticing how he checked his phone whenever I spoke, how his smiles never reached his eyes. I met your assistant today, Victoria. He barely looked up. Did you? Don't mind her frostiness. She's just protective of my schedule. She seems to know a lot about your business decisions, including marrying me. That got his attention. His fork paused midway to his mouth. What exactly did you hear? Enough. He reached across the table for my hand. Sweetheart, you misunderstood. Yes, the marriage has been good for my image, but that doesn't mean I don't care for you. 2 days later, I met his mother at the country club. Eleanor Reed looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. So, this is your bride. Interesting choice, Alexander. Be nice, Mother. Eleanor sipped her martini. Tell me, dear, have you considered elocution lessons? Your accent is rather provincial. I like my accent just fine. Of course you do. But now you represent the Reed name. We can't have you sounding like you just fell off the turnip truck. Alexander just chuckled. He didn't defend me once during that excruciating lunch. Later that week, I met James, Alexander's business partner, at a charity gala. While Alexander was schmoozing investors, James cornered me by the champagne fountain. You seem like a nice girl, Mila. Too nice for this crowd. What do you mean? Has Alexander shown you what the company actually does yet? Or are you just the pretty face for the press releases? Something in his tone made me uneasy. Before I could respond, Alexander appeared, putting a possessive arm around my waist. Filling my wife's head with stories, James? Just getting acquainted. That night, unable to sleep, I wandered into Alexander's home office. His laptop was open. He never bothered password protecting it around me. Why would he? I was just the grateful cleaning girl. What I found made me sick. Internal memos about slashed health benefits, recordings of him threatening employees who complained, documentation of wage theft schemes. And buried in his emails, a message from Victoria. If the labor violations investigation proceeds, we'll need your wife as the sympathetic face of the company. If necessary, she can take the public fall. Her background makes her the perfect distraction. I stared at the laptop screen, my hands shaking. They were planning to throw me under the bus if things went south. I needed to be smart about this. Taking quick photos of the documents with my phone, I carefully closed everything and slipped back to bed before Alexander returned from his late business meeting. The next morning, I put on my most innocent smile. I was thinking of hosting a dinner party for your executives. Would that be helpful? Alexander looked surprised, then pleased. That's actually a good idea. Show them the human side of the Reed family. Great. I'll need access to company files for contact information. Maybe Victoria can help? He gave me his spare office keycard without a second thought. Using the clearance, I searched through personnel files and found Rachel Martinez, former HR director, terminated 6 months ago. Her termination letter cited incompatibility with company culture, but attached notes revealed she'd raised concerns about harassment claims. I arranged to meet her at a coffee shop across town. I never thought you'd reach out to me, Rachel said, eyeing me suspiciously. You're the last person I expected to call. I found some disturbing things about the company and about my husband. Her laugh was bitter. Let me guess. You discovered he's not Prince Charming? I need to know what happened to you. She leaned forward. I documented 3 sexual harassment complaints against your husband, all settled with NDAs. When I refused to bury a 4th, I was fired, but I kept copies of everything. Would you be willing to share them? Why should I trust you? Because they're planning to make me their scapegoat, and I refuse to go down for their crimes. Our alliance formed over weekly yoga classes, my cover for meeting Rachel to compile evidence. Meanwhile, I played the perfect clueless trophy wife. One afternoon, I accidentally entered Alexander's private office while he was with Victoria. They sprang apart, but not before I glimpsed her hastily buttoning her blouse. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just looking for the, I'll come back later. I fled, but not before noticing Victoria's smirk. Later, I apologetically brought Alexander coffee. I feel so embarrassed about earlier. I didn't mean to interrupt your meeting. Don't worry about it. Victoria and I were just discussing the Parker contract. Of course, I never doubted it. I gave him my most trusting smile. That night, I installed a small recording device Rachel had provided in his office. 2 days later, his mother invited me to lunch. Eleanor arrived with a stack of papers. These are Charity Foundation documents. As a Reed, you should be involved. I pretended to read them carefully. What exactly am I signing? Just standard liability waivers, nothing to concern yourself with. I glanced through and spotted clauses about assuming personal responsibility for company decisions. They were setting me up to take legal blame. I'd love to review these with my own lawyer first. Eleanor's smile hardened. Don't you trust family? Alexander wouldn't want you bothering lawyers with trivial matters. Even so, I'll wait. Back home, Alexander cornered me in the bedroom. Mother says you refused to sign the foundation papers. I just wanted to understand them better first. He grabbed my wrist, squeezing until I winced. Listen carefully. My mother doesn't appreciate being questioned, and neither do I. Sign the papers tomorrow. You're hurting me. He released me, his expression shifting to calculated charm. I'm sorry, darling. It's been a stressful week, but these papers are important for our family image. What are they really for, Alexander? His eyes narrowed. What's with the questions lately? Are you talking to someone? No, of course not. Good, because loyalty matters in this family. Remember where you came from, and who took you out of that life. As soon as he left for work the next day, I retrieved the recording device and found exactly what I needed. Alexander and Victoria discussing how they'd frame me for the labor violations if the investigation proceeded. The annual Reed Enterprises charity gala was my stage. As I zipped up my gown, Alexander adjusted his bow tie. You look stunning tonight. The investors will be impressed with my beautiful wife. That's what I'm here for, right? To impress people? The ballroom glittered with wealth and power. Eleanor greeted guests while Victoria shadowed Alexander. I spotted James by the bar, giving me our arranged signal. During cocktail hour, I worked the room, dropping hints to board members about interesting labor compliance reports. Then Rachel arrived, causing whispers among employees who recognized their former HR director. When Alexander took the stage for his speech, I squeezed Victoria's arm. I know everything about you two, and the harassment settlements. Stand with me or go down with him. Her face paled instantly. As Alexander finished speaking, I walked up and took the microphone. As Alexander's wife, I've had a unique perspective on Reed Enterprises. I connected my phone to the projector. What are you doing? Alexander hissed. Showing your investors who they're really supporting. The screen displayed memos about slashed benefits, wage theft, and harassment settlements. My husband and his mother planned to use me as a scapegoat. Here's the proof. I played the recording of their plan. The room erupted. This is absurd! Eleanor shouted. She's clearly unstable. Victoria stepped forward. Actually, it's all true. I have additional documentation. Alexander lunged for her. You backstabbing! Security intervened as he grabbed Victoria's arm. James appeared beside me. I've been gathering evidence for months. The board already has copies. By midnight, Alexander was removed as CEO. 2 days later, criminal charges for harassment were filed. The settlement came quickly, the board desperate to avoid publicity. I made sure every affected employee received compensation. Amber's medical bills were covered for life. My parents' farm was saved. Eleanor tried salvaging her reputation, but the recordings destroyed her standing completely. 6 months later, I opened a legal aid clinic for workplace abuse victims with Rachel. The day Alexander was sentenced to 18 months, I received my final divorce papers. You must feel vindicated, Rachel said as we watched the news coverage. Not vindicated, free, there's a difference. My phone buzzed with a text from James, now the reformed CEO. Board approved your workplace safety initiative. Full funding. I smiled, thinking how far I'd come from cleaning those offices at midnight. Some might call it revenge, but I prefer to think of it as justice. Served cold, just like Alexander liked his heart. What would you do if you discovered your spouse only married you as a PR stunt to improve their image? Would you quietly walk away, or would you expose them like Mila did? Do you think public revenge is justified when someone uses you, or is it better to move on without the drama? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this revenge story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. New stories every day.